Welcome everyone to Adeel Pirzada Podcast. Today we got another podcast here, as usual, with Kevin Padillo.
Hey,
How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Nice. Yeah, today we're gonna have more discussion on construction. I think we're gonna be discussing about residential construction, and that there's gonna be some episodes where we'll have on commercial construction, and which will be probably the longer ones. So today we're briefly going to discuss about how the residential stuff works. So Kevin has some questions about that. I think on the last one we were discussing about the subdivision and how that happened. So Kevin, tell me what are you thinking about the construction stuff?
Yes, so many things on my mind, and I wanted to welcome everyone here on the show. Welcome to the Adeel Pirzada Podcast, sponsored and hosted by the Pircon group, as you can tell by our wonderful shirts. We're commercial construction experts, and we build restaurants, commercial spaces, daycares, retail, anything under the commercial sun, we can build it for you. Check the show notes for our links to apply for an estimate, and you could contact us there as well. But yeah, just things about construction and residential. I like to learn stuff about this because I have a lot of friends in real estate, and they're always doing some renovations, or maybe they destroy the home and build it back up from the ground up in the same spot. And I'm really curious how it works out. And I'm excited to ask you these questions in the show. So yeah, I'll be learning some stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. I think last week what we were discussing is that land subdivision and how that takes in place.
Yeah.
So there is a lot that goes into it, and I think on the construction side of it, there is a planning side. That's very detailed, and the construction side itself is there is a lot in it. So I think later down our journey we'll get into it. Maybe we'll have a real project to show it to as well, and we'll actually have the site stuff. But we just kind of touched the surface last time. We talk about land subdivision and how it happens, and what gets built first, and how it gets kind of built. Today we're gonna get into the residential part of it.
Yeah, and before we do, I just want to recap from last week about subdivisions, because I know it was really cool, because I like the idea of subdivisions. To be honest, I was kind of clueless before, but as you talked about it, and you talked about how you're building the sewage systems and grading the land and preparing it for homes to be built on it, it's a great steps that we're kind of making it into steps, is part of this multi-week series on construction, where the subdivision comes first. Now the homes will be built. So this is part 2. We have a list of 13 questions to go deep. So I really encourage you, if you're listening, to grab a notepad, tune in, and be ready to learn from Adeel, because this guy's he's really smart. So tune in.
Oh, thanks, Kevin. So now on the subdivision side is basically we looked at we talk about raw piece of land. It's just sitting there, and how would a developer would come in and get that piece of property, and then they will start developing it. So they'll have to go through the approval system with the city, get all their approvals in place, and then we'll start grading the land. They will start putting the services, the road will go in there, and the power poles and other things that you would see in a community. So the next thing, which is subdivisions mostly or communities built for, is for people to live in. So the home building, that comes in, and there is another part. Wow. So there is a commercial, obviously that happens. Commercial construction, and that's what something also is part of the community, and sometimes industrial as well, and industrial places are built kind of the same concept. It's a raw piece of land that is zoned as industrial, or the city has the plan on it as an industrial piece of land for the future zoning anyway, and then developer will come in and purchase that. So we'll get into that down the road.
Let's do it.
Today, residential.
So first question, Adeel, is what is new home construction?
So a new home construction is a new home, but mostly the term is used when you are purchasing or building a home, a brand new home completed by a builder in that new subdivision that we discussed about. So once everything gets done, the roads are built, and the builder will start moving in to the subdivision, and they will start building homes. And that's what the new home term is mostly used for. So the homes that are built by professional builders that you see in any new subdivision or a community.
Right. Okay. So would a customer, would they buy that directly from a real estate agent, or is that from a builder? How do you buy one?
So mostly you could just, any new community you see, there's like 13 or 14 new communities are being built around Calgary right now. And most of the the newer cities, they on the outer side of the city, they have a newer communities being built. So you can actually just drive into a community and then you see a show home,
Right.
which is the builder's office, and you can just go in there and look at what they're building and what kind of product they're selling.
They could go into the show home.
Yeah, you don't really need a real estate agent for that sake. But I mean, if you already have one and you've been working with someone for a very long time,
Yeah.
and they're reliable, maybe you want to get their opinion. It doesn't hurt. It's not going to cost you anything. So maybe you should pick up a phone and call them, and then they may have some more stuff to tell you, or maybe some newer communities or some better houses that are on the market. They'll have that knowledge. They can share that with you.
Yeah. Because, I remember back when my family moved into Salaridge for the first time, it was all bare land. It was just recently built subdivision. We're the first family there, and we went to the show home, and we were like, oh, hey, this is cool. Like, I remember it was facing the lake, and there was no homes around. There's like 3 show homes, and we went in and looked at these houses, talked to the guy, and as like, I guess that was the process, like I think Pacesetter was the person we bought it from, or whoever that was.
Yeah, they're a good builder too.
Yeah, so that's just reminds me of show home days from the past.
Yeah, usually there is a price basically you're paying when you're getting a new home in a new community.
Yeah.
I mean, on one end you might be getting a good price because it's like, well, nowadays things are different, but I'm just talking in general. You're getting actually a discounted rate when you're buying that new home, just because the communities hasn't been developed yet. So there is probably not, the transit isn't there, the parks maybe haven't built, the infrastructure hasn't been built. There's going to be a lot of dust. Usually when a developer goes into a community, a typical a good-sized community usually takes about 10 years to build the entire community. So you can imagine the construction is going to take place in that community for that long. So the things aren't built. Everything is new, is being built, while people are moving in.
Yeah.
So that's the price you pay living in a brand new community. Versus a community that's already built and has been around. So all the stuff is in there. But then you don't have a new home anymore. Or if it is something very nice, then the cost is a lot. So
right. So could you tell us about what the process for new home construction? So from the beginning to end, what's the process? Construction process.
The process is for the builder, right? So developer comes in, they will develop the piece of land, they will grade it, put the services, build a road. Then the builder comes in, and then builder would get all the permits, everything they need to build that house. So sometimes there's a couple of different models that builder would sell. They'll call it spec home, and then they'll have like a brand new home. So a spec home, that's something they already it's under construction. They have decided what they're going to be building, so they already had gone ahead and got everything, and it's actually under construction at when you're probably making the purchase. And the new home, the custom home is something that you can build, and once they confirm the sale, that's when they'll go ahead, apply for the permits, get everything approved from the city, and then they'll start building it. Once obviously, everything is signed and both parties had agreed on, so then they'll start constructing the house. On a new home construction, the permits process is actually pretty easy for the builders because it's a brand new development. The city already knows what's going in there. There's no changes to the zoning.
Yeah.
Things are pretty determined. It's just a blank canvas. So everything is there, and and the developer just recently built it, or it's in the process of building it. So you get permits pretty fast on those new home construction. And again, that is the responsibility of the builder. They'll go and they'll have their team and they'll get those permits. And they'll start building the house for you. Yeah.
So would the builder be a GC, or do they just manage it, or what parts of the builder actually doing?
Not necessarily. Like I've seen builders, they have a third party doing construction for them, and they're like the manager. But most builders are GC. They are the contractors.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So like Mattamy Homes and Shane.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Like there's different models and the way they work. Yeah, like they'll have sub-trades, right? So the most builders, they'll have a sub-trade. They'll have their own management and design team, and they'll advise on everything and take care of the whole project and the construction schedule and things like that, and they just hire a sub-trade. And some builders have their own crew, so they got their own electrical, mechanical employees.
Oh,
yeah. So there's different model, and I've also seen builders where they just hire a company and is their brand, is their product on the outside, but they have another company, like a general contractor, a professional company doing all the work.
Yeah, that's a good point. So for people that don't know me, I just recently joined the company in charge of marketing, and this year I worked for many different companies, and I was actually on the tools, and I used to do a lot of siding, and we worked for there's a builder in the far northwest near Cross Iron Mills, and we would do the siding on the home, and the builders would just drive around to supervise us, make sure we're doing it safe, we're not messing it up, making sure we're on deadline, letting us know, hey, inspection's gonna happen, you guys need to hurry up. So that's a good example, because Adeel was talking about hiring sub trades, and we were the sub trades, and the builder would just supervise and manage.
Yeah,
that's a little bit about what we do as well at
That's
Pircon.
The more typical model of a builder or general contractor. Yeah.
What about design? How important is the design in residential construction?
Very important. And that's the thing. Most of residential builders, they'll have everything predetermined, and they'll have different models of their design, like a 2-story home, double attached garage, this many square foot, 2-story home, no garage, 2-story home with single garage. So they'll have different models, and you can't really make changes to it, especially the big changes. There's no way you can make that.
So it's like a pre-built.
Yeah, structural. Package. So they already have that, and then you have to decide if you like their design or not, and if they're wasting any space that could have been used for something useful. So you have to see that. Funny thing is that every single home that I've ever lived, like most of them, not every single, I'd say good percentage, they always been brand new homes. from a builder in a brand new community. So we would have to go through the whole community development while we're living there. So there's while the land is being, so we're living in a brand new home, which is great, but also all the services, the land, the community is not fully developed yet. So the infrastructure is not there. The transit isn't there. The commercial hubs are not there. Right. Yeah. So
everything is just far away.
Yeah, because it's brand new. They're just developing that stuff. Like sometimes the homeowners association, like the community hall isn't even there for the good 3-4 years until, that takes place.
Good times. This just reminds you of the youth.
Yeah.
Moving into a new community.
Yeah.
Saddle Ridge, actually, their community hall is like so far away from everything else.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever been there so far.
Yeah. That's how, I don't even know if they still have it. It's like far away.
Yeah.
Or they rent one. I'm not sure. So design is something from the builder. There are builders that are custom builders. It's probably more expensive and they're working on a bigger stuff, like bigger lots and more customizable home.
Okay.
Where they'll let you design the whole thing, right?
Oh, so custom. I could have an extra room.
Whatever you want, they'll have it and they'll build you.
Like the roof could be shaped a different way, or I don't know, the plan.
Yeah. And usually that's why you'll see those odd homes or very unique ones.
Yeah.
And either you'll see them in a bigger community, so bigger lot, like a better community that can handle that bigger cost, or you'll see them in infill areas, so inner city areas, and then you can pretty much design it. So we're actually going to get into that. So that's how you can build them. When you're buying from a builder, it's mostly everything's predetermined. You're just buying what they're selling,
like a template,
and what they have available, based on certain size of the lot, based on certain phase they're doing. So there's so many things, like you'll just have to stick what they're offering. And then that's why you have different builders. So let's say you go to one, you don't like their design and it's a 2-story double attached garage and not what you're looking for. You can go to another builder in the same community. They will have show home and you can see what they got. But most of the time you're stuck to their design and basically what they're offering at that time.
Right. So moving on to the next question is, what should you look for when constructing a new home? Let's say from a customer point of view. I'm a customer and I want to build a new place. So
like your involvement as a home owner, like when you're purchasing a house, a new home building, it's a brand new home in a new subdivision, is very little. As far as like the construction involvement, I would say they'll take you through some inspections and they'll show you the rough-ins and show you when they're close, they're near to finishing and all those things, right? But you don't have much say or involvement. Like I said, you'll select items at the design team and you'll just let them run it. So you just got to look for the right builder that has the right design. I don't think you can have a much say in their construction anyway, because you don't even get to see that part of the process. If they're a good home builder or not, that means at the end of the day if they're a good GC or not, right? So you find the floor plan. This is what I would say, right? Obviously you want to go in community that you like.
Yeah.
And then you want to find the builder that you like. So see what they got to offer. What is the vibe? What is the feeling? Prices, obviously, this is the big thing you want to look for. And then floor plan. Okay, what kind of floor plan you like? And then where they're building, because not all builders have same size and same type of the lots, right? There are some A lots and B lots and B plus and B minus. So there's different types of lots too.
So are these different sizes? A lots, B lots, C?
Yeah, like where is it located? If you're going to have a lot on a main road,
okay,
there's might be some disadvantages to that.
Okay.
Right? If you got a growing family, you don't want to have your kids playing on that road, it's a busy road. If you're going to get a lot as a corner lot, there's some advantages to that. So you're going to have to pay the premium on that.
Yeah, like a bigger yard.
Yeah, if you're going to have a lot backing the golf course, backing the lake, then there is premium for that. If you're going to have a lot in a more inner of the subdivision, very quiet area, the cul-de-sac, like,
right.
Yeah, so there might be different in prices and how they design those lots.
You might have to pay
size.
later with a golf ball in your window.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or mostly the ponds I've seen, like, oh my God, like it's horrible. All you get is just a big mosquito farm, right, in your backyard. So
sucks.
Yeah, those are like stormwater sewer, and then usually they end up in your backyard as a pond or so-called lake. But I mean, each community is different. There are communities that are very good lakes and golf courses, and then they maintain it very well. They keep it nice, and it really depends on the community and the developer. Like, there's so many things to look at, but it's very simple. In a summary, if you like a community that works for you, maybe it's nearby your work, maybe the place, your dream place you want to live, you find that community, in that, in some area in the city that you like. You find the builder that you like. Maybe there's one or two or three that you make a list. You check out their floor plan. You check out their pricing. You're pretty much going to be pretty good. Like, you don't have to worry about too much on the construction. If they have, bad rating and they've been delayed on their, handing over the homes and like the possession, like obviously you don't want a builder like that. But most of the builders are pretty good, and they're already taking a lot of time to build these homes. So I don't know how much longer they're going to take, because it takes quite a time, 6 months to 1 year easily. And for some homes, it was even taking longer during COVID.
6 months to a year to build one home.
Yeah. That's how much you would usually have from a builder.
Okay.
Yeah, so you like the design, you like what they are offering, you check their rating, they're pretty good, you're safe. Just make sure you buy a house that works for you, that works for your family. The construction is pretty much the same. Again, like, there's custom home builders, there's like a top builders where you can really pay that premium and get like the top notch. But if you're going to stay in the median price range, if you're going to stay on average, the quality is pretty much the same. Like, the quality of the material between the builders is pretty much the same. The quality of the work, yeah, that could differ based on from one builder to another builder. Like, I have had homes from different builders, and I've seen the quality difference between them, And I actually seen a builder have a different quality in one community and a completely different quality in another community, believe it or not.
Okay.
And yeah, it's the same company, and it's the same city as well. It's just just maybe the management and the type of team they have working, this type of sub-trade is working. Also, the type of contract, like the type of the product that you purchased. So if you're in a higher end community, they have to perform really well. So they'll give you that top-notch construction. And if you're kind of in a lower end community, maybe they don't have to care about it so much. So you'll kind of get what you pay for.
Now, before we transition into the infills, we're going to be talking about infills and renovations in multifamily next. Last question that might be on your mind, and which is just on my mind as well. I know there's some locations in Calgary, and like nearby, there's like a huge industrial complex, like with tons of waste and smell. How could someone prepare to be like, okay, I don't want to make sure this won't be here in the next 10 years, raising my family. There's a huge landfill or smelly
It's
poop
funny.
farm.
It's funny. I was actually talking to someone about that not too long ago. Is that when you go to like a newer subdivision and you find a show home and you go in there You find a place, and then you're like, hey, and then it'll say future development. And then you're like, what is that future development? And then they won't know. And even if they knew, they won't tell you. And then you find out it's like, like you said, it's like a landfill, but not to that extent. But it could be like a commercial plaza. It could be something really busy, or it could be a busy road. So yeah, it's always good to kind of check what is the future plan of that community. So you have to check the future. So ask them, so what's happening?
Interesting.
They'll usually have a site map, right?
Okay.
And then they'll show you where your phase is going to be.
Yeah.
And then there is the other area. So you can ask a question. It's like, what's going to be here? What's going to be here? What's going to be here?
Yeah.
So look at the full community map. Within the map, see where the phase, what area they're building, because what phase you're getting your lot in. Okay, so find that, and then just ask that what's happening around you, what is being built in the in this phase, and this phase, and that phase. Where is the school? So ask those questions. And yeah, you might hear that answer like, oh, we don't know, or we don't know, it's in the future, we'll have to find out. And just say, I need to find out.
For sure.
To make this transaction, so find out.
Yeah, so make sure to read those boards around your area as well. There's a lot of City of Calgary boards, or whatever your city you're listening to this. Most of them, major cities, have big boards that talk about future development, give us your feedback, and or I'm sure you can check in the city area as well to see that as well.
Yeah.
What's next? Now, just to manage time, I know Adeel is a very busy man. We're kind of on a tight schedule for this podcast. We're going to move into infills now. And I'm really curious about this. Tell us what an infill is, Adeel. What is that?
So infill usually refer to an inner city lot. So meaning there is a piece of land which is inner city, closer to downtown or nearby area. And you can pretty much take that place, or let's say you already own it, you demolish it, you completely take it down, and you build a newer home on that. So that's considered, that's usually referred as an infill lot.
Would you destroy the foundation as well if you're tearing it down?
Most cases you will. Yeah.
So it's going to be just dirt after demolition.
Yeah.
Wow, so you're ripping even the concrete.
Everything comes out. You got to do more than that. Everything comes out, then you're digging even bigger, and then you still have to do your services, because your old services are probably not big enough size.
Right.
Or you're doing, most of the time they're taking those, because the older lots are bigger, so they're taking the older lots out, the older homes out, and they're building 2 homes on it. Some cases 4, 8, 10. It really depends, right? The
so
size of the lot.
Divide the plumbing and the heating and gas to walls these 4 houses on one lot.
Yeah, so your biggest thing is going to change right there with your infrastructure, which is deep in the ground, and what we discussed last time, your underground services.
Yeah.
So that old lot still have an underground service. Who knows, from 50, 70 years ago, or 20, 30, whatever it could be.
This is fascinating.
Yeah, you dig it out all the way. So you have to find those services, connect to those services. If they're not big enough, or you having more units than what was there already, then you would have to get a new service, right? And new pipes, new trenches, everything.
So we kind of already broken down the beginning parts of the infill process.
Exactly.
What would about the after demolition? Let's say it's all torn down, the services are in. What's next?
You get your foundation in. So that's the first thing. You dig it out to what, based on the new design. Obviously you have all the surveys, so there is a lot of stuff as a package for construction that goes in together. So you know where it needs to dig, how deep, all that stuff.
Yeah. So
you prepare it for that, you dig it out, and then you put your formwork. So basement cribbing, basically. You're familiar with the concrete stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you put your cribbing, which is the basement formwork, put that and they'll pour concrete.
Sweet. Now, so I've been studying a course on project management, construction project management. These guys have big visions for me. And so I've been really studying, diving deep. And it talked about in the process, like way before construction, there's design, preliminary. So I know there's an infill process. I'm really curious how it works with like the city and like permits and how to get all that stuff approved to even do that.
Yeah,
Sure
there's a lot of part to it.
Process.
It's so let's take a simpler example. Let's say your parents, they live in Cedar Ridge, right? Or
they used to.
Okay, not anymore. So let's say they live an infill community. So they live a little a little closer to the city, and their lot has been rezoned for an RC2. So when they first purchased the house 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, it's probably an R1 or RC1 lot. And with time, as the city is growing, the city will rezone a lot of areas closer to the city so they can have more occupants.
Now, tell us what an R is, just so.
So R1 is like a residential lot that allows only one dwelling.
Okay,
Yeah.
R1.
Yeah, and R2 would be you can build two dwelling. So let's say their lot is R2. So they're like, okay, we don't like our house anyway. Let's demolish it and let's build a new home.
R3 would be 3, R4.
There's no such thing R3. So then you go into RG and RCG. So then you get into like row homes and townhomes. Then there's a multifamily zoning, and then there's a whole bunch of different types. So yeah, R means residential, and remember that every city has a different. Like Edmonton got their own numbers that it's something similar, but all cities are different. USA, different states, different cities, they call it different. Some places they'll have L2 and L3, and that's their single family, residential home lot. So let's say if that was the thing, your parents or someone, they wanted to demolish their house and build a brand new, let's say a duplex on it, or like a side-by-side dwelling. They would have to get all the approvals from the city. That would include starts with development permit, which is going to be a quite lengthy process as well, because you need to show everything to the city that you're within the guidelines, you're within the height and the width, and what are the requirements to build that kind of dwelling. You have to be within all those parameters, and then you would apply to the city, get an approval, get your building permit. But before you do all of that stuff, the most important thing is the money. So you need all the money, and it works differently when you do that as compared to when you buy a brand new home in a new subdivision. In this case, when you're building an infill, you need all the cash. Not all the cash, most of the cash. You need money up front to start the process, to get going in the process. And most of the people I've seen, they would just build it with their own money, especially they're building a house to live in. And they'll have to come up with a big chunk of their own money to do it, because most of the time they don't get the financing.
Right.
Yeah.
Powerful. Any last words for infills before we move on to renovations and multifamily?
So, there is a lot to talk about. Like each segment of construction, there's so many things to look at and so many things to be aware of. So, it's very simple. Like there's two reasons why you would do infill. Either you're an investor and you got an old rusty piece of house and you want to take that and develop that and make into something livable.
Yeah.
Or you're the homeowner of that lot and you love the community and you want to stay in there, and then you can take out the house and you can build your custom house. Now there is a process that, it's very detailed what you need to do depending on what kind of developing you're going to have. So there is a lot of steps and things to look at. So maybe we can do that, a real deep dive into infill and how to successfully complete an infill project. Maybe we'll have a video on one of our live projects so we can share that.
It's super exciting.
Yeah.
Now, as we move on to the next stuff. By the way, I know we were speeding through this. I know Adeel has about a 40-minute time block, so I'm looking to, keep that in, with respect to his time. So just to stay in tune with this, this is a multi-part series. So this is not the last time we're going to be talking about infills and residential construction. We're going to be diving deep into this. Stay tuned onto this podcast and subscribe. We're going to be moving some of our episodes to a new channel just for the sake of organization. So just stay tuned there and keep posted on what we're going to do, and make sure to subscribe onto the new channel as well, just to stay up to date on our projects as well. So moving on to important things to know. What are some important things to know for renovation of a home? Adeel.
So you're talking about an existing structure, a single family home?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And then you want a renovations done.
Yeah.
What's important? To find the right contractor. It's very important. Find the right person. How do you find that? Call Pircon.
Yeah.
You need to do a couple of things. One, you need to have a meeting with your contractor. So whatever you want done, that's one thing. You got to see if your contractor is capable of doing that. So have a meeting with them and share. Let's say you approach them. Maybe you don't even need to discuss what you're doing at your home. If it's big enough that you're going to need a professional help, then maybe go visit your contractor at their office and see what they got to offer you and what experience they come with.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Should someone be looking at previous work? How important is that?
Yeah, it's very important. Look at their previous work. Check out the quality, the time it took them to do it. Things like that. It's very important.
There's so many different types of renos, like having maybe just fixing a doorknob versus painting 10 rooms. Should a homeowner do it on their own, or should they hire a crew?
Honestly, it really depends on you. This is what I would suggest, especially residential construction. The reason why, we do residential construction and new home building. The reason why we're not so big in it, doing every single renovation, or
like a handyman.
Would like to do it. We don't like to do that because we don't see the value. We're providing the value to the customer. Commercial, this is where we really come in and do our part because we're providing that value. There's a lot of things that go, even it's like a interior work for, let's say, some of the commercial projects that we have. There's a lot of management that's required in order to successfully complete a project. And if you don't have that experience, you cannot provide that value. And where it becomes very important, because it's commercial, people are not living there. It's a commercial place where they're paying high leases, or their mortgage payments or the rents are really high. And every day there is that being wasted, is they're losing money and potential business. They're losing money in rent and cost, and they're losing the potential business that they could have had if they were open. And not only that, commercial work itself, it's very, it's you need to specialize in it a little bit. Um, there's some static.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going. I'll fix it. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, as I'm talking, you're fixing the mic. So yeah, like commercial, there's a lot that goes into it. So that's why you need a superior management. So you're not wasting your time and money, and you have the experts doing the right thing for you. Residential, it could matter on a couple of things. It really depends how big of the work. You still need a really good management. You still need a really good team for residential as well, especially if your project is big enough, meaning you're doing multi-room renovation. You're you got some, you have more than, I would say anything more than 10 grand worth of work is probably, you want to consider it specialty work. You want to have a right team looking after that work. I would say even less than that, you should. But if it's just a doorknob or it's just a little, a plumbing issue or electrical issue, you don't need a professional team, and like, you don't need a GC on that. You don't need a contractor for that. But if it's, if you're adding to your home, if you're doing a full house renovation, paint, flooring, ceiling, new rooms, doors, closets, you need a professional contractor taking care of that stuff. They'll still hire a sub-trade to finish the work, but that sub-trade requires a proper management to complete the project on time within the budget. So it's very important because of that. Your other question, Kevin, was that when you should hire a contractor. So yeah, anytime commercial, you should hire a contractor 100% of the time. But today we're talking about residential, so I'll stick to that. So if it's less than, like I said, the value isn't that much, and if it's one or two trade work, you can get it done yourself. You don't need a full construction team behind it. But if it's anything more than that, there's an involvement of a few different trades. It's heavy on your cost. There's a lot that you're looking to get done. You should definitely hire a good construction company that is experienced and that can provide you with the right cost and the schedule.
Yeah, I'm looking at our timeline here. I know it's 43 minutes. Do you want to wrap up or you want to keep going?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to wrap up, guys. The next topic, Kevin, you had was multifamily within the residential. Multifamily is a commercial property, but I mean, you still got people living in there, so we'll consider it as a residential construction. So yeah, we're going to have to take another time out, talk about multifamily, because there's a lot of things to look at multifamily. No.
All right. Okay, perfect. So thank you for everyone tuning in to today's podcast. This is the Adeel Pirzada Podcast. We go live every Friday. We're striving to make sure that we're here delivering our podcast with full value and full knowledge and on time as well. So I thank you for everyone tuning in and for everyone that supported us. This is episode number 4, and we have so many things to improve and tweak, and we're just looking to add more value to you and your business. If you need help with any kind of commercial construction help, don't hesitate to give us a call or give us an email. We're happy to see how we can help you, see how we can improve your business, see how we can expand your business, see how we can help you build new locations. Check the email down below, and also you could email me at kevin@pircongroup.com to apply for an estimate. And looking forward to adding value to you. So as we wrap up, guys, tune in next Friday. We're going to be going live. please just subscribe to our new YouTube and podcast channel called the Adeel Pirzada Podcast, minus the D, the. So it's Adeel Pirzada Podcast.
Yeah, it's not the is not there anymore. That was decided today, so it's Adeel Pirzada Podcast only. Yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone. Do tune in and keep listening. We're, like Kevin said, we're only new to this, and we're starting this, and it's something we wanted to share with people. There's a lot of things I think that we will be discussing here that can be beneficial to a lot of people. And also we want to make this channel for a lot of other entrepreneurs. So this is something I'm really excited about. We have a few people that are interested in, but we need to have a little bit of bigger audience, and we need a little bit bigger list of people that we want to schedule in, and we want to bring them in, and we want to talk about their experience and their success in their entrepreneurship and business, and for sure we're going to talk about construction and what their experience has been about construction and what they would think when they're thinking of doing construction for their business. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff in this channel, and we're just learning our way while making these videos. But it's been fun discussing about stuff, and we look forward to doing a lot more.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for tuning in. See you guys next Friday.
Thank you. Take care.